Well, thank you for attending today's First Thursday, The Power of Community, here with Sustainable Tulsa. We appreciate you joining us. And before we get started, of course, we hope that each of you are staying safe and healthy and that you're doing well. So thank you again for being with us today for First Thursday with Sustainable Tulsa on the power of community. Megan is going to go ahead and launch a poll. And so if you can take just a minute, this really helps us as we're planning for the future of other programming. So if you'll take a minute just to answer those questions while we begin. I want to thank our sponsors, our lead sponsor, Williams, our Neighborhood Partners Public Service Company of Oklahoma, and PSO Wind Choice, our community advocates, American Waste Control, Cavanta, the Met, One Oak, Save Our Streams, Spirit Air Systems, and Tulsa Farmers Market. So give them a round of applause and thank them and send them a note in the chat if you can, if you know them. Really, we couldn't do the program without their support. And of course, we couldn't do it without you joining us today. So thank you to all of our sponsors and for you joining. I also want to thank my team, Megan Hurley, Teresa Kerrigan, Jill Maud, Erica Gavula, and our fall interns, Samantha Bauschke, and also Sherry Parkini Robinson. She's joining our team for a few months and helping us through a transition for our team. And many of you have heard through our email, through other avenues, that Megan Hurley will be leaving our team at the end of next week. And we just thank her so much for her service and time to Sustainable Tulsa for the last 2.5 years. She's been great to really help us through this pandemic and how to provide this program to you in this virtual environment. So again, Megan, we wish you the very best. And if you can send her a note in chat and wish her well. But thank you again, Megan, for your service over the last couple of years to Sustainable Tulsa. Because of that, though, we do have an opening. And so I'll drop in the chat the link to that opening, an opportunity here with Sustainable Tulsa for our marketing and development manager position. So see that here in just a moment. But a little more information. Becoming a supporter of Sustainable Tulsa is easier than ever. $25 for your name will be added to our growing list of change makers in our community. So that also helps to support this program. So we appreciate each of your support, and every bit definitely helps. So if you haven't ever become a supporter or a sponsor of Sustainable Tulsa, take a moment and become one today, because that really does help us provide this programming to you. Our next First Thursday will be Thursday, November 4th. It will be virtual, and it'll be from 12 to 1 online. Our speaker is OG&E's Usha Turner on the evolving electricity sector. Should be very interesting. Of course, we'll be talking about renewable energy and just some of the other challenges and opportunities that are out there as we start looking at bringing on more EVs to this grid, as well as just other opportunities. So it should be really interesting. We're excited about that. So Teresa's going to drop that link in the chat now so that you can learn a little more about that. Our next B2B Case for Sustainability Series event will be our Bellman Award winners. And we are so excited. We shared with you at Recharge, and thank you to everybody that supported us for Recharge. We shared with you the winners, and then we've posted out to kind of share the big news with you. But at our next B2B, November 18th from 8 to 10, this will be online, it'll be a panel, and we will hear from our Bellman winners. And again, that's ICF, Schlumberger Kellyville Learning Center, TD Williamson, Cox, and Tulsa Zoo. And that link is being dropped into the chat window right now. Again, congratulations to all these companies for their work, and Teresa Kerrigan on our team, our scorecard manager, appreciate all the work that she did to help curate all of the work that you all have done over the last year. And so we're excited to celebrate our Bellman winners in November. So join us. It should be really interesting and also inspiring. Their videos are coming together, and we'll be sharing those with you shortly. At the B2B. Sustainable Tulsa, as you know, launched a Facebook group in January of this year, and to help connect you in our community around sustainability and engage with those that are asking questions or have the answers to your questions. And so if you'd like to connect with sustainably minded people, join our Facebook group. Teresa, she will be putting that link in the chat for you. So if you haven't joined yet, it's a great way to get engaged and connect with those that are thinking about this every day or have questions. So I encourage you to join. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Megan as she introduces our digital booths. Megan?
Thanks, Corey. Well, first up, we have a little video from Williams, who's our major sponsor for First Thursday. Thank you, Williams.
Since Williams was founded in 1908, much has changed. The growth of cities, rise of technologies, our transformation from a family-owned business to America's clean energy partner, supplying natural gas for cooking, heating, and powering 76 million homes. And while so much has changed, some things should remain the same, like keeping promises, exceeding safety standards, doing the right thing, and protecting the environment. Williams, we make clean energy happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Williams. And our next sponsor is PSO's Win Choice. Of course, if you haven't checked into Win Choice, please do. Tracy Harper is a fantastic rep for Win Choice, and she can help you get signed up for either 1% Win Energy or all the way up to 100%. I think Corey is one of those 100% users, so the poster child for PSO Win Choice. So if you'd like more information about Win Energy and how you can play a part, go to psoklahoma.com/Win Choice. And then up next, we have American Waste Control. Do we have Jessica or Amanda on with us? Not yet. That's okay. They've got a meeting that kind of runs over. Of course, we have American Waste Control that handles all of our recycling, or major recycling with the city of Tulsa and also the city of Jenks and Broken Arrow. That recycling center is going to be back up and running in late December, so we're really excited to see that happening. And American Waste Control also does quite a bit for managing all of our waste in our Tulsa area. So if you'd like more information, please contact Amanda Curtis at amanda@awcok.com. And their number is right there as well. And you can also go to their website, americanwastecontrol.com. Thanks so much, American Waste Control. And then up next, we have the Met. Do I have Allie on with us?
Yep, I'm here. So we have two events coming up this month that I wanted to talk about real quick. Out in Broken Arrow, they're doing the Trash Bash and Recycling Rally that we're going to be a part of on October 23rd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they're going to be taking all sorts of good stuff that you want to recycle: tires, plastic bags, medication, batteries, electronics, old ammunition. We're going to be doing sharps, paper shredding, cardboard, and something that's new to one of the events that we're doing, we're going to be taking food waste. So we're going to have Full Sun there taking food waste for composting. And also that day, if you have any medication you want to get rid of, but you don't want to go out to Broken Arrow, our Sheridan location is going to be accepting medication that day as well. So lots of good stuff on October 23rd. If you have things to recycle, bring it on out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allie. And of course, right now, while American Waste Control is getting their recycling center back up and running, if you do have recycling, which I know you all do, please take it to one of your nearest Met locations. You can go to the Met's website to find the locations, but there's several all around town. I take mine over to the one in Glenpool right now, because that's what services the Jenks area. So I'm so glad to have the Met there helping bridge the gap and always being there anyway when you need recycling help. So I'm really excited about the medicine and the food waste coming up at your recycling rally in October. So thanks, Allie. Okay, and then we have Save Our Streams. Do we have Janelle on with us? She might not have been able to make it today, but Save Our Streams, if you'd like more information about what they do, you can go to cityoftulsa.org/SOS. They do have a lot of amazing programs, including their household pollutant facility. They do collection facility. They collect paint, old paint cans, aerosol cans, anything that you that's not safe to throw away, please take it to the collection facility. You no longer have to make an appointment. And they also do have a swap shop. So if you are only needed something for a couple of uses and you've got a ton of product left, take it to the swap shop and see if there's anything else there that you may need for your house. All right. And then up next, we have the Tulsa Farmers Market. Chris, are you on with us? Okay, she's not. I know I saw her name, but she may not have joined us this morning. That's okay. Of course, our Tulsa Farmers Market is over in Whittier Square every Saturday. And of course, they've just now put their winter dates. So it's 7 to 11 through October 23rd. And then 8:30 to noon, November through December. So really exciting. If you guys haven't gone to the farmers market, you're missing out. Incredible local farmers, and we're just so excited for them.
Hey, Megan.
Actually, Chris is here with us, so she might want to add to that.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Well, you did a great job.
Thanks.
And yeah, we're always excited to connect over sustainable lifestyles, and we just wanted to promote too that we are transitioning. As you mentioned, we will continue our current market schedule through the 23rd, but we do switch over in the beginning of November, 8:30 to noon for those daylight savings hours. But essentially this year is going to be a little bit different than years past in that we will continue every single Saturday, with the exception of October 30th. Through the end of the year. So just more opportunities to buy and support local, especially as we go into the holiday season, which a lot of purchasing and consumer driven activity happens. Just keep in mind your local folks. And then of course, yes, our winter market will be bi-weekly, January through March. So thanks for the opportunity, guys.
That is amazing. Yeah, this is the first year, right, that this has happened. This is so exciting that we get to have a farmer's market every Saturday through the winter. So very excited to check that out. Well, and that is it for our booths this morning. So Corey, I'm going to turn it right back over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan. And thank you all to our sponsors again for sharing great opportunities across our state. And I will see you at the farmers market on Saturday. Okay, so I want to introduce our speaker for today. We're so happy to have Natalie Evans with us. She serves as the Program and Marketing Director for OKC Beautiful, where she manages litter abatement and education programming, volunteer coordination, public outreach, and more. She started her career in community development and environmental stewardship as the project coordinator for Keep Oklahoma Beautiful in 2016. In her role, she works with partners like OKC Beautiful to make communities across Oklahoma more beautiful and sustainable, and grew in her passion for community development. This drew Natalie to pursue a master's in public administration from the University of Central Oklahoma. And in 2018, she joined the City of Edmond City's Manager Office, working on community projects and employee opportunities. In June, just recently in 2021, she was called back to the world of environmental stewardship, joining the OKC Beautiful as a team member. She continues to volunteer for organizations like Scissortail Park, the Plaza District Association, and the Edmond Fine Arts Institute. In her spare time, you can find her hanging out at Oklahoma City great parks, biking, gardening, or volunteering. So welcome, Natalie. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. This topic is one I'm really passionate about and really excited about. I had connected with Corey, just reaching out about how we could collaborate and partner. So it kind of lend itself perfectly to talking about community and how we can all help each other out on this journey for environmental stewardship. So really excited. I started off with OKC Beautiful as a volunteer about 5-6 years ago, shortly after I moved to Oklahoma City. So to be paid for something I was doing as a volunteer is kind of awesome. So excited to talk about volunteer stewardship and just the power of community. So I will pull up my presentation just real quick. And congrats to you, Megan. It's been a joy, even though I just met you like a week ago. Congratulations on your next journey.
Thank you so much.
Yes. All right. So first, I'll give you just a little bit of context of OKC Beautiful, our programming, who we are as an organization. We originally started off as a committee of the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce in the early 1960s. It was during the 50s and 60s that you started to see a lot of these beautification organizations come about. Keep Oklahoma Beautiful, Keep America Beautiful. And that was really in response to an issue we were seeing with single-use materials. We were transitioning into sort of a convenience culture. And with that came a lot of litter, something that wasn't necessarily an issue prior. So for us, litter abatement is still a huge part of what we do, but we focus a lot on education and prevention as well. In 1968, we formed into a 501c3 nonprofit, and we've been serving the community ever since. Just recently at a board retreat, we did update our mission statement. So we are leading Oklahoma City's beautification and environmental stewardship through collaboration, education, and advocacy. I'll dive a little bit more into those last 3 points: collaboration, education, advocacy, and how that ties into strong communities. So just as context for all of the programming I'll talk about, we have 3 full-time staff members. So our mission, all of our programming would not be possible without volunteers. And we're very fortunate to have a community that cares about our city, that wants to get involved as well. We do also have 2 part-time garden educators. I'll talk about our OKC Harvest program in just a second. It's our school garden support program. We could not do it without these garden educators. They are awesome. They're in our schools making big change. Our focus area geographically is the OKC metro area. We provide supplies and resources to residents and work closely with the city of Oklahoma City. And we are an affiliate of Keep Oklahoma Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful as well. So our team, we have Lisa, she keeps us running. Myself, I'm usually out picking up trash, organizing volunteers. Kat is our garden expert, just a wealth of information. Micah is our boating garden educator. You can see right there, she's actually holding up some green material as we were building a compost pile. So we're always out and about in the field. And then Sarah there is our garden educator at Cleveland Elementary. She actually also started off as a volunteer with us. She was part of the PTA at Cleveland Elementary and just grew in her role with such a wealth of information for the gardens that we brought her on as a part-time employee. So some of the key tenets of our programming, we're focused on environmental stewardship, community development, and beautification, which leads to economic development, volunteer empowerment, environmental education, and advocacy. So a little bit about our programs. OKC Harvest is a school garden support program. Prior to a couple years ago, we were building a lot of school gardens, a lot of community gardens, and the concept was kind of you build it and they will come. Ultimately, we found that we need to have more of a presence in our gardens. So we focused on supplying educators to 2 of our elementary schools, Bodine and Cleveland, to provide hands-on education. They are out every week with students teaching lesson plans that tie back to state curriculum standards in not only science and environmental science, but also math and language arts. So it's really a well-rounded approach to education, but in school gardens. Litter Blitz is probably one of our most popular programs. We have over 3,000 volunteers in this program, which I'll talk about in just a second, but it's our litter cleanup program. River Protectors is a relatively new program for us, and it's sort of a branch off of Litter Blitz. Its cleanups focus specifically on our waterways. We're seeing just a massive amount of single-use materials ending up in our streets, our lakes, our wetlands. With this program, we also train volunteers to track the type of litter that they're picking up, which I'll dive into in just a second, categorizing what types of materials are we picking up, doing a brand audit, what types of products are we pulling out of water. Adopt a Park is a chance for groups to take ownership over local parks. They commit to picking up litter in the park at least twice a month, as well as doing some landscape improvements and tree plantings. So we work closely with the city of Oklahoma City on this program. Grow OKC is a young professionals program, trying to get people out learning about environmental stewardship. We had an herbs and cocktails event last week, so all participants got to take home a mini herb garden. It's kind of fun. For some of them, it was their first time planting something, so it's kind of giving them a taste for how accessible home gardening can be. Our team board is focused on bringing high school students into the environmental stewardship world. So they get to do a lot of site visits, hands-on activities, service projects. We were just out earlier this week at Boating Elementary, where they got to harvest some sweet potatoes and melons, build a compost pile. So it's a very hands-on program to get them energized about environment. Landscapes is our most recognizable program. If you've ever driven along Classen Boulevard in Oklahoma City, you can see a lot of our signage, same as Northwest Expressway, kind of the high traffic areas. We provide landscaping improvements, additional greenscape, additional trees as well. For those of you in the Tulsa area, pretty comparable to Up With Trees. We have, I promise I'm rounding the corner, we're almost done. Next up, we have our cigarette litter prevention program. Cigarettes are the #1 most littered item in the US. So part of this is education and advocacy, but part of it is also just making it easier for you to dispose of cigarettes properly. Since we are all about prevention, from now on, all of our labels will include the TSET helpline. We got permission from them to include that on these receptacles, kind of some targeted information for people who are using these receptacles. All of the litter that's collected is sent off to TerraCycle and repurposed into hard plastic benches. So kind of a cool program. We partner with a lot of our local commercial districts for that. Mother Earth, we reach about 20,000 elementary school students every year. Again, all about prevention. So we try to teach them about conservation and environmental stewardship, water conservation, litter abatement. It's fun, it's cute, it's a little play. They get to do some hands-on activities as well. Yoga in the park. We were just out last night. We only have one more session of the season. The primary intent is to get people outdoors enjoying nature. We also rotate to a different Oklahoma City park every session. So we want to get people out to all areas of Oklahoma City. We try to make sure we have representation of all the different districts, areas of the city. I always love asking before sessions, how many people are going to that park for the first time. And frequently it's about 75% have never been to that park before. So a good chance to get people out exploring our city. Our last two, we have our monthly beautification awards. It's just a chance to recognize people who are taking pride in their specific corner of the city and just kind of encouraging them. You can think yard of the month type award. And these are so much fun to distribute. Often I'm greeted with lemonade or limeade or family stories, just a chance to spread a little bit of joy as well. And then we have our recycle bin loan program. For instance, this morning I had someone pick up 2 bins for a wedding, another group pick up bins for a band competition this weekend, just trying to encourage more people to recycle at events. So poll question, Megan, if you wouldn't mind helping me out, launching our first poll. When was the last time you volunteered?
About 30 more seconds for this poll, and then we'll close it and show the results. Can everybody see the results there?
I actually can't, Megan, so would you mind? fine. You're fine.
Sure. Yeah. So the results are that in the past, you said, when was the last time you volunteered? So 47% said in the past week, 19% said in the past month, 17% said a few months ago, and 17% said last year. So almost half in the past week.
Great job. I'm happy with those results. You guys are above average, as you'll see right here. So volunteer statistics, currently approximately 63 million Americans volunteer. That sounds really great. That's about 25% of the population. So for us, we're also focused on how do we reach that other 75%? How can we get more people out in the community and developing that community pride and community stewardship? We tested out doing a cleanup at farmers market at Scissortail Park a couple months ago. It was an impromptu pop-up cleanup, not advertised before. We just showed up, and people who walked past, we asked them if they wanted to pick up a couple pieces of trash, just trying to bring in some people who wouldn't typically sign up to volunteer. On average, people spend an average of 52 hours per year volunteering their time, so about an hour per week. 72% of volunteers are involved with only one organization. So that kind of shows whenever someone's passionate about a cause or they find an organization that they really click with, you have the opportunity to really capitalize on that and build one of your superstar volunteers. So Megan, one more poll question. What is the main reason you volunteer?
Okay, we'll have about 30 seconds to answer this one. All right, so our question again is, what is the main reason you volunteer? And at 89%, we have to make a difference, with 9% to learn skills. We had 0 people click on to meet other people. And we had 3% because I was obligated to.
Well, I agree with Marcy in the chat. I also believe it makes a difference, or else I wouldn't be talking about this here today. I'm kind of surprised on the 0% for the meet new people. I think that was kind of how I first dived into volunteering in Oklahoma City, moved here, didn't know many people. It was kind of a chance for me to get out and meet some folks. So there's a lot of reasons to volunteer, and we see all kinds of them here working with volunteers. It could be a passion for a specific cause, learning new skills, meeting new people with similar interests. Required service hours, that's great. I don't care if you're required to be volunteering. We're happy that you chose us, and maybe you'll be passionate about it, have fun, and want to come out the next time. If any of you represent different organizations or businesses, if you don't have required service hours or allow employees to take time off to volunteer, I really encourage it. It's a good chance to build that stewardship, develop your employees as well. Kind of the people component of the people, planet, profit. We do it to make a difference. We do it to strengthen teams. A lot of our Litter Blitz groups are businesses and organizations that want to take an afternoon just to connect with their team in an environment outside of the office, and they want to do something to give back. So it's a good chance for team building. It's enjoyable. I love volunteering. I usually feel energized and refreshed afterwards. It's a chance to connect to the community, meet people. Find purpose and help others. So trying to really capitalize on the purpose component, the making a difference component. We have a clear call to action here at OKC Beautiful whenever we're talking about environmental stewardship. I took both of these photos back in August at the Oklahoma River. So these were both taken outside of the River Sport Complex. We were gearing up for an internationally televised sprint race on a river. So what was going to be televised was this stretch of Oklahoma River. Not only did this one patch look like this, the whole stretch of the river looked like this. So we knew that we were going to have to work pretty fast to get that portion of the city cleaned up. So we posted a couple pictures. We said, this is a nightmare. We need your help. And we had over 100 volunteers sign up in less than 24 hours. So having a clear call to action, really just telling the community, hey, we need your help, come join us. It kind of helps to have these visuals too. We also, whenever people get on site and they see this and they realize the magnitude of the problem, we hear comments like, man, I just can't believe how much trash there is, or I never want to use a styrofoam cup again. And we really hope that whenever people come on site and see the issue, it's not just them coming out for that one event, it's hopefully creating more of an ideology change, a cultural shift as well. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the power of volunteers, some of the impact that we see here in Oklahoma City because of our volunteers. So Litter Blitz campaign is our largest volunteer base. So far in 2021, we've had over 3,300 volunteers participate in a trash cleanup, equating to nearly 50,000 pounds of trash collected. Nearly 200 community groups as well. And this just keeps climbing. We did another cleanup yesterday with a business. We have 2 scheduled for this weekend as well. So us, a staff of 3 people, we cannot do all of this on our own. Oklahoma City is huge, 621 square miles. That's not something we can do on our own. It's not something city maintenance crews can do on their own. It's really volunteer powered to try to make change and keep our city clean. So in 2020, we launched the River Protectors Initiative. And this is really where these litter abatement programs, we're trying to become more data driven. We talk a lot about prevention and advocacy. If we can tie numbers to it rather than just anecdotally saying, we're picking up a lot of plastic bottles, we're hoping that can help advocate for changes made on a local and state level, as well as just educating, teaching people that they're reusable and repurposable options instead. So we launched this program. The way it works, we train volunteers to use an app called Literati. If you regularly pick up trash, I really encourage you download this app. It's kind of fun. It doesn't take a lot of time. I like challenging myself to see how many pieces of trash I can pick up. The way it works, you take a picture of a piece of trash. It creates a geopoint or a geotag on a specific data point. With that, you can tag material, type of object, as well as a brand if it's visible. So we're conducting a brand audit as well as trying to see what types of materials we're primarily picking up. So here you can see this plastic bottle, it's tagged bottle, plastic, and ocean spray. So this year, in 2021, we've trained 166 volunteers to use this app. We do one training with the volunteer. We send them out into the community. So it's really about giving them the tools, the knowledge that they need, and then sending them out. So this is our geographic endpoint. You can see right there, the 1,123. That is 1,123 data points in that specific vicinity. You can see some of these are kind of along major corridors where they're primarily getting used. This one down here, the 3,328, that is at River Sport where we conduct these trainings. We do a hands-on training, so a lot of data points in that area as well. So our findings so far this year, 22% is plastic, 11% polystyrene or styrofoam. Top brand this year is 7-Eleven. Top objects, cigarettes. We talked about that being #1 object, bottles, wrappers, and cups. So we've collected over 14,000 data points this year. They're individual photos. Again, that individual photo could include 100 pieces of trash. This is completely volunteer powered. We do the training, we provide the resources, we provide the supplies, and then we send these volunteers out in the community. Could be kind of comparable. I know Tulsa has I think it's the Data Pioneers program with the city of Tulsa. Kind of similar, we're trying to get data, we're using volunteers to collect it. Again, it's all about empowering volunteers. We trust our volunteers. We're very fortunate to have them and have people who are so passionate about our community and want to make a difference. We did have a volunteer a couple months ago who said that she regularly picks up trash, but after getting trained on how to do this, it felt like it was making more of a lasting change. She said that she felt empowered because of it. So we're just trying to equip individuals and groups with this resource, with this knowledge, and support them along in their journey. With this, we can expand our reach, share our messaging, and reach more geographic areas. As part of that, though, we have to keep communication going with these groups. So I was happy to hear Sustainable Tulsa has a Facebook group. We set up a Facebook group for our River Protectors program for people who have been trained with literati. And we encourage them, if you're going out on a Saturday morning, you don't want to go by yourself, post it in the Facebook group, see if anyone else is free and can join. So these are some examples. Someone shared this this past weekend, and they were doing a kayak cleanup and had picked up, I don't know if they got the store out of there, but they shared this picture. And this other post here, this was another kayaker who had gotten this whole load of trash in one afternoon. So again, it's just an example of collective action leading to big results. Megan, our last poll question, how do you typically hear about volunteer opportunities?
And we'll have about 30 seconds for you to respond. Okay. So again, the question is, how do you typically hear about volunteer opportunities? We had 29% of you respond through social media. We had 26% that responded through work, 21% that said invitation from friend or family, and then 24% of you said other. For those of you that put other, if you want to put in the chat what that other is, so we can kind of talk about that a little bit.
Thank you so much, Megan. That kind of shows how much sharing volunteer opportunities, if you're passionate about an organization, makes a big difference just to reach out to a friend and say, hey, I really like this group. They're doing cool work. Do you want to join me for one of their volunteer events? I'll talk a little bit more about some volunteer trends, specifically kind of as I hate to say post-pandemic because we're still in it, but we're kind of coming out of it. We're seeing a surge of volunteers again. So in a survey, 73% that volunteering is even more important post-pandemic. That could be a number of reasons why people indicate that. It could be that they maybe they feel more social belonging, or maybe more of a desire to get back out in the community, or maybe see the ways that our community is hurting as a result of COVID-19. 2020 was a rough year for groups that depend on volunteers. Even for our group, I wasn't here at the time, but we weren't sure, is picking up trash something that can pass COVID-19? So there was a lot of hesitancy about, can we do litter cleanups or not? And they had to kind of halt some of those efforts for a while. Now we're starting to see just kind of the surge again. We hear from a lot of people that they have required service hours and they want to volunteer, but they don't want to go inside any facility. So they want to hear, where can I go volunteer where I can stay outside, maybe volunteer on my own or in a small group. So litter cleanups, outdoor gardens, really good fit for that. So Gen Z, I don't want to out myself, but I'm right on the line of millennial Gen Z. But there's specifically an interest in giving to a cause through your time. May not have the financial backing or the ability to give through funds, but I can give by helping share some information or I can give by coming out and volunteering on a Saturday morning. That's how they want to contribute. Also, we're seeing more of a shift to mutual aid and activism. So whenever you see people share things on social media or forward an email with information about an organization, that's kind of like micro volunteering. It takes a very small amount of time. It's easy to do, but it's a way to help organizations. We love it whenever people share our volunteer opportunities, try to get more people involved. It may be thought of as really simple, but it is helping accomplish our mission as well. So with all of our volunteer events, we recognize that there's a big impact beyond a specific project. Whenever we do a litter cleanup, we understand that that park could have trash in it 2 weeks from then. We try not to let that discourage us or discourage groups, because there's so many benefits that go beyond the social cohesion, the pride in community, the team building opportunities that come from it, the awareness of a mission and cause. We don't go out to a cleanup and just set people loose. We talk about the issues of single-use materials. We talk about the types of trash that we're picking up. We talk about the importance of not littering. We talk about not just having it on the backs of consumers, but businesses and organizations being able to make choices in their offices or their facilities that are more sustainable. It's an education opportunity. It's also a chance to build our mission ambassadors. People who maybe will go home and say, you know what, maybe we should start recycling, or you know what, I probably should skip getting that styrofoam cup, or I could use a reusable option instead. And then ultimately it's about expanding reach. Another great way to expand reach is through collaborative partnerships. And so I'd mentioned earlier on that I'd originally reached out to Sustainable Tulsa because I had met up with our sustainability coordinator at City of Oklahoma City, and he had said you should get connected with them, because I was talking about potentially resource guide for businesses. What can we do to help, again, not put this just on the back of consumers, but work with businesses. So I learned more about Sustainable Tulsa's mission, their model that they have through the scorecard, and realized this is something that we can help promote. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can see where we have like-minded organizations and how we can partner together. So again, it's about identifying those key stakeholders. Who are organizations that have comparable missions or are also supercharged about environmental stewardship? We're all in this together, especially in the environmental stewardship world. I hate to say it's a small group, but you meet a lot of the same people. So we have to kind of band together and be collaborative in this mission. So over here is a picture. We went out to Oklahoma City Zoo last week. Really cool facility. They are doing a lot for sustainability. We train their staff how to use literati, and they do some group cleanups on site. And they even talked about using it to see where they're having significant points of litter within their complex. So they're very sustainably minded. It was a chance for us to collaborate. And from that, we're going to bring our team board out there. We talked about collaborating on some pollinator gardens. There's just so many opportunities to collaborate. I can't emphasize this enough. We're collaborators, not competitors. So for us, this means identifying stakeholders for specific causes. So for us, our school gardens, huge partner, Oklahoma City Public Schools. It's the parents, it's the principals. Identifying stakeholders for a geographic area. For our Adopt a Park program, if we have a park that's not adopted, we want to look, what's a nearby neighborhood association? Is there maybe a business that's nearby that would be interested in partnering with us? Who has a vested interest in that specific location? Also with our landscape program, median beautification, what are local businesses that are nearby there that want to make their corner of the city more beautiful? I'll highlight just a couple of our partnerships currently that I'm really excited about. Happy to work with these people. River Protectors came about because someone with River Sport OKC approached us and said, we have this amazing complex off of Oklahoma River. It's awesome. We have so much trash. Every time it rains, that trash comes back in. We need help, not only getting volunteers out here to help clean, but also education and advocacy to try to prevent this in the first place. That program would not have come about without that partnership. OKC Harvest and Mother Earth. Obviously, our biggest partner is Oklahoma City Public Schools. They give us the platform and the access to students to be able to share our mission. Adopt a Park, City of Oklahoma City Parks Department, as well as our 114 neighborhood organizations, service clubs, families that have adopted parks. We couldn't do it without that partnership. Cigarette litter prevention. We work with several commercial districts so that we can get access to their facilities, as well as TSET, as I mentioned earlier, being able to include their helpline information on the receptacles, ultimately going back to that prevention. Yoga in the park. I should not be out teaching yoga. I'm happy to participate, but I don't know how to teach it. Yoga 6 helps us out with that. They provide instructors. Great partnership. And really, with all of our programs, we could not do it without collaboration. So I am a little bit over time, so I'll go very quickly. I hope that you're encouraged to participate. If you are one of those that maybe hasn't volunteered in a while and you're looking for a place to get plugged in, if you're in Oklahoma City, of course, we'd love for you to come volunteer with us. You can subscribe to volunteer updates at that link, or you are welcome to reach out and email me. If getting your hands dirty going outside isn't really your jam, I recommend checking out OKC Volunteers. It's a pretty robust Facebook group where people post volunteer opportunities. There's a huge volunteer network in there as well. Tulsa, of course, I'll plug Sustainable Tulsa. I was really energized to hear about their coaching program that they have with volunteers. If you're not familiar with it, go check out their website, reach out to Corey. Up with Trees, lots of opportunities to volunteer there as well. If you're outside of our key metro areas, I recommend getting in contact with Keep Oklahoma Beautiful. They work with organizations and municipalities in every county, so they can get you plugged in with someone. It could be a small little service group, it could be a local town or county office, they'll get you plugged in. Also reach out to your local municipality. I used to work for City of Edmond. We got calls all the time about where can my child complete some service hours? Where can I get involved in the community? Actually ended up making a page on the website, just here are places you can volunteer. Reach out to them. And Volunteer Match, that's a pretty robust website as well. You can categorize by different interest areas, if that's kids' activities or the environment, and filter out opportunities from there. So I don't know if we have much time for Q&A, but I'll open it up for that. Or if you want to share any volunteer practices that you're really passionate about or want to share some information on. And then just real quick, there's my email. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at OKC Beautiful, you can find us on Facebook. I haven't made the plunge quite yet, but we're talking about a TikTok. We'll see. I'm not ready for that yet. So, but in the meantime, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you can find us.
Hey, thank you so much, Natalie. I mean, such great information. And for anybody that's wanting to kind of think through and improve their volunteer opportunities or just how to get engaged, I mean, some great resources and such a great program. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And so we do have time for a couple questions. I did see one in the chat. Somebody was asking about if you've got a program where, looking for this, where you disassemble recycling, kind of the process and looking back, sorry, just lost that question. I don't know if you see it there in the chat. Okay, are there any disassembling recycling programs to teach us all about the various materials and products? So kind of going on your literati and kind of how you're looking at what products are out there. Is there anything else that you've out there to follow that up with?
Primarily, that's us kind of dipping our toe into categorizing just how much we're finding. Volunteer events that we go to, we do try to sort out any recyclable materials and encourage that for our participants as well. But that's really, I mean, we're kind of just dipping our toe into more of the data-driven approach rather than just total bags of trash. So if you've seen examples in other communities, how they've effectively communicated the types of materials that are being collected, types of products, it's something that we have started reiterating whenever we share information about cleanup events. We try to also state, in this cleanup event, we picked up primarily plastic bottles, or 30% was styrofoam. So trying to communicate that more often, but we'd love to hear any examples from other communities as well.
And kind of following up on that, I mean, you showed there was the brand that you saw the most in these cleanups. Do you take it to the next step to reach out to them and see if they might be a part of helping to reduce their brand being in waterways? Has that been something that you've approached, or or just collecting data right now?
Not yet, but that's definitely a key reason why we're doing the brand audit component as well. We would love to be able to have, again, we're kind of in the data collection piece.
Sure.
We would love to be able to approach organizations and say, just informational, here's what we've collected. We have some creative ideas that we might work with that in the future, but kind of a small example, we had a volunteer from Loves that came out and they participated in it. And he was like, I really want to take this back and maybe encourage our staff to look at this. Because whenever you think of the concept of branding, it's not a great brand image to have your logo on pieces of trash that end up in our waterways or our parks. So I think it's something that, again, could all come back to partnership. It's not about trying to shame people or anything like that. How can we partner together just to educate? Your logo, your brand is ending up in a lot of our public spaces.
Yeah, and then the hope that they would then want to educate their customer about, the nenext step after they use that product, where it should go. So lots of educational opportunities. Two other questions that came through, and it's does Oklahoma City Beautiful? About your funding. Do you are you supported by the chamber, and how you receive your funding primarily?
We do have a couple of city contracts specifically for our landscapes program. So we get revocable permits. We do get some funding from them for like the Class and Boulevard to maintain those areas. Chamber of Commerce, I don't believe so. Primarily though, private donations. We do get some funds from DEQ for educational programming. Again, it all goes back to that prevention, that education, but primarily private donations.
Okay. Great, thank you. And one other question here, Daniel asked, I was wondering, Oklahoma City, your curriculum for gardening in the schools, is that materials available on any site for others to use?
We do have a document that ties specifically to the school standards. Daniel, if you want to email me, I'd be happy to get that to you. And we also, on our website, underneath OKC Harvest, we have a gardening resources page. So we have videos that are available there, information about how to get started gardening. Also, kind of a fringe benefit of 2020, we had to go virtual for OKC Harvest. So a lot of our school garden lessons were videoed and are available on our YouTube. And that's a practice that we continue now, having those videos available online. So a wealth of information available there.
And one other comment was that they noticed that in one of the photos that you had reused burlap coffee bags. And so if you have just a second just to comment on that, and if that's a ongoing practice and so forth.
Prior to COVID 2020, we were reusing a lot of burlap bags. We're trying to see maybe going back to that again in the future. We try to where we can. We actually get those from a local roastery. So it's reusing something that they don't really need anymore. So we're able to get those donated. With our 3,300 volunteers that have gone out, we're not able to get 3,000 burlap sacks. So we do have to use plastic bags at times as well. But we're trying to find innovative solutions rather than using plastic bags whenever that's potentially part of the problem. So we're testing out some different things. But yeah, the burlap sacks have been really effective for trash collection.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. Okay. Well, I know that we'll drop, if we haven't already, I think your contact information there if someone has some further questions for you. But again, Natalie, thank you so much for your time and for sharing some great ideas and kind of just seeing what the trends are with community engagement and volunteering. We do have one of the programs, I know we have Rick Katarski on here, and they do a lot of Crow Creek cleanups and Save Our Streams. So lots of those types of projects. So before we end, if you're out there and you have a volunteer opportunity you'd like to share, please drop that at the chat and let everyone know that there's some other opportunities. And someone just asked, will they be available to view this program later? Yes, Megan will be sending out a list of all the resources shared and a link to that. So you'll have a chance if you missed part of it, or you want to go back and study what Natalie had to say. There's some great stuff in there. And so again, thank you so much. Let's give Natalie a round of applause for her time and sharing her expertise with us today. And we will stick around a little bit, but I do want to just share again, just kind of a thank yous to everyone. Again, thank you, Natalie, for sharing today. And we have one last poll Megan's going to launch there. So if you could take just a second to take that poll and answer those questions. Again, we'll be sending out that email tomorrow with today's recording, with links and resources that we discussed today. And then also, again, we just thank you to all of our sponsors and those that have been a part of today's program. Your questions, your interest is also what makes this program work. And we thank our sponsors too, Williams, our lead sponsor, and our neighborhood partners, PSO and PSO WinChoice, our community advocates, American Waste Control, Covanta, the Met, One Oak, Save Our Streams, Spirit Air Systems, and the Tulsa Farmers Market. We appreciate each of our sponsors. Again, give them a round of applause. Thank you to my team again today. And again, we hope we'll see you in coming up in November. We'll be talking about energy and electricity and kind of where the next trends are going. And also, while you're answering the poll, wanted to let you know the October Sustainability Challenge is to get out there and volunteer. So there are so many ways you can support your community right now. So we challenge you to help Tulsa become a more resilient community. Tomorrow's email will also include some links and reading sources on ways you can stay engaged on the topic. But again, if you're, catch some potential new volunteers, if you're got some event coming up, share that in the chat. I know we've got beautiful weather for the next month, hopefully, to get people outside and volunteering. So again, Natalie, thank you. Thank you very much. And if you want to stick around for just a minute, we'd love to visit with you and you can take off your mic and we'll say hello. But again, thank you for joining Sustainable Tulsa, first Thursday on community development and resiliency. We appreciate your time. Have a good day.